for today is sampling distribution of large sample size. Objectives: to study the larger sample size. Number 2, to analyze the theorem problem of larger sample size. Number 3, to determine the central limit theorem. Materials to be used in answering. Number 1, we use the table value. Number 2, calculator. Number 3, ruler. Number 4, colors for the area of the curve. Sample size. Statistician considered a sample size 30 or more as large. If the large sample size is taken from a population with a mean or the standard deviation, then the sampling distribution of the sample mean approaches to the normal distribution with the mean or the expected value is equal to the mean of average. And the standard deviation is standard deviation divided by square root of n as a sample size. So halimbawa, ang sample size natin ay mas mataas. So 30, halimbawa 31, 32, 33, up to million, gagamit tayo ng ganitong formula. Standard deviation divided by square root of n. So, ito yung pinaka-formulang gagamitin natin kung mas mataas ang n natin ay greater than 30. So, we use the central limit theorem or z is equals to x bar minus the mean divided by the standard deviation divided by square root of n, where n is the sample size. Take note, if the formula for individual score for the normal curve, we use this formula. Z is equals to x minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. While if n is greater than 30, take note if n is greater than 30, either 31, 32, 33, up to million, up to zillion, we will use this formula. Z for the central limit theorem, x bar minus the mean divided by the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. So mean, both formulas used in z table. So we need to require to use the z table distribution for the normal distribution. As stated above, the formula can be only used if the population variance or the standard deviation is known. Take note that is known. It means to say, kailangan meron value yung standard deviation mo at yung variance mo. If the population variance or the standard deviation is not known, the formula above still holds when the sample size is large and is equals to greater or equal to 30. Take note sabi, ang sample size dapat ay n is equals to greater than or equal to 30. Dapat pataas siya or eksaktong 30. Hindi siya pwedeng pababa kasi hindi na yun ang formula gagamitin mo. That is the sample standard deviation and it can be used to replace as the standard deviation known as the central limit theorem. For this theorem, if random sample size n are taken from a population with a mean and the standard deviation, this is the symbol, then the sampling distribution of the sample mean approaches to the normal distribution with the mean of expected value is equals to the mean and the standard deviation. So, standard deviation mean is equals to the standard deviation divided by square root of n as the sample size. Thus can be standardized as z is equals to x bar as the average mean minus the mean or the expected value divided by standard deviation divided by square root of n. So this is what you call the central limit theorem. So this is what you call the central limit theorem of this problem. As the n increases, the sampling distribution of the sample mean gets nearer and nearer to the normal distribution. So we have a note. If the standard deviation is unknown, ibig sabihin, wala siyang value or nawawala yung standard deviation. Compute for the sample standard deviation as the S, then it is used to replace as the standard deviation. And the formula provided that n is greater than or equal to 30. Even if n is less than 30, take note, kung mas mababa daw yung sample size sa 30, the formula can still be used provided the population is approximately normal and the population standard deviation is known. Kailangan, kung mas mababa daw ang sample size sa 30, so pwede pa rin nating makompute yun. So the population is approximately normal and the population standard deviation is known. Kailangan yung population standard deviation ay given. So number 1. The height of pupils of Luna Elementary School has a mean of 121 cm with a standard deviation of 5. If 50 of them are taking as samples, what is the probability that their mean weight is less than 120 cm? Take note ang n natin ay 50. Sabi, pag n is greater than or equal to 30, gagamit tayo ng formula ng central limit theorem. At saka yung average niya ay 121. Ang standard deviation niya ay 5. Pero ang hinahanap, what is the probability their mean weight is less than? Ibig sabihin, mas mababa doon sa 121. So, meron tayong 120. Okay. Ito yung formula na gagamitin natin. Take note, our mean, 121. And then, our standard deviation is 5. And then, our sample size mean, take note, sample size mean is 120. And yung total number ng isang classroom ay n is equals to 50. So, 50 student. Anong formula ang gagamitin natin? So, isa-substitute natin yung 120 minus 121 divided by 5 square root of 50. So, 120 minus 121 magiging negative 1 siya. So, 5 divided by square root of 50 is 0.707. So, pag dinivide natin siya, ang value ay negative 1.41. So, paano natin siya uli by drawing as a standard deviation? So, using the C table, alam naman natin na meron tayong C table na hinahanga. Meron going to the left and going to the right. So, below, take note the area below C is equals to negative 1.41 is 0.793. Ito na yung value below. So, the probability that the mean of weight of the sample size is less than 120 is 0.793 or 7.93%. So, ito drawing na natin siya. Magdo-drawing tayo ng x and y axis. So, ito yung normal curve or standard deviation. So, again, alam natin 0, 1, 2, 3. And then, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So, meron tayong tinatawag na average mean, which is 120. Ang standard deviation natin ay 5. So, 121 plus 5, 126. 126 plus 5, 131. 131 plus 5, 136. 121 minus 5. Sa kabila, so subtract natin. Magiging 117. 117 minus 5, 1112. 1112 minus 5 is 107. Ito yung mga height ng bata. Ito yung patangkad. Ito naman yung pababa. So, yung 141, malapit siya dito kasi ito yung 1.50 eh. Yan. So, this is somewhere. Yan. So, lalagyan natin siya ng curve. So, kukulayan natin siya. So, ito yung sinasabing around 7.93%. Yung simula 1,112 at 117 pababa. So, yan yung pinaka-value. Take note. Ito yung hinahanap natin. Kasi, medyo mababa na siya. Ibig sabihin, ano bang reason out bakit yung mga ganitong bata na merong height na 107 or 112? It means to say, majority of them are malnourished. Malamang, kulang sila sa vitamins and minerals para tumangkad sila. At higit sa lahat, kailangan din ng gabay ng mga magulang sa pag-aalaga ng kanilang mga anak. Example number 2. Opinion Research Corporation reported that the average time of men in the shower is 11.4 minutes, with a standard deviation of 1.8 minutes. If the time in the shower are approximately normal, what is the probability that the mean time for 20 randomly selected men exceeding 30 minutes? Ibig sabihin, karamihan daw sa mga kalalakihan, ang average ng pagliligo nila ay 11.4 minutes at merong standard deviation na 1.8 minutes. So, if the times in the shower are approximately normal, what is the probability that the mean time for 20? So, kukuha tayo ng 20, randomly selected exceed 30 minutes. So, this will be the answer for number 2. From the problem, mean is equals to 11.4. And then, the standard deviation is 1.8. And then, x bar is 12.5 and n is 20. Take note, bakit 20? Eh, di ba dapat 30? Kasi given naman yung standard deviation. Take note pag given ng standard deviation, pwede pa rin tayong gumamit ng ganitong formula for central limit theorem. So, true then, n is less than 30, the central limit theorem can be still used because the population is known to be normal. So, again, x bar or the average mean is 12.5 and the expected value is 11.4 and the standard deviation is 1.8 divided by square root of 20. So, 12.5 minus 11.4 is 1.1 divided by 0.402 and the value is 2.4. Take note, using the z table, the area below z is 2.74. So, the value is 0.9969. And the area above is 1. So, we have a table kasi going to the left side. So, 1 minus 0.9969, the answer is 0.0031. Or, in percent, we will change into percentage. The answer is 0.31%. So again, we will draw the x and y axis. So we will replace or we will write 0, positive 1, positive 2, positive 3. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So our minutes or the mean is 11.4 minutes. So our standard deviation is 1.8. So 11.4 plus 1.8 is 13.2. 13.2 plus 1.8 is 15. 50 plus 1.8 is 16.8. And then 11.4 minus 1.8 is 9.6. And then 9.6 minus 1.8 is 7.8. 7.8 minus 1.8 is 6. So again, we know that this whole area is 100% or 1. So the value of 2.74 in the C table value is 0.996. Actually, this is going to the left. And then exceeding. So it means to say, pataas siya. Exceeding from 11.4. So 1 minus 0.9969 and the value is 0.0031 and 0.31%. So this one is 2. Bakit mababa siya? Ibig sabihin, walang kinalaman ang pagligo sa mga kalalakihan. Kasi minsan, pag nagmamadali tayo, or yung mga nagmamadali, yung mga nagtatrabaho, babae man o lalaki, hindi natin masasabi kung mabilis tayo maligo or mabagal tayong maligo. So, mababa ang percentage niya. Walang kinalaman. Exercise number 3 or number 3. The mean of Student Achievement Test or SAT scores of grade 10 students is 65. So 60 students were chosen and found that the standard deviation of their mean is 5. What is the probability that their mean 64 and 67? So first, from the given, we have the average mean of 65. Sa mga grade 10, ito yung kanilang average. And then, the sample size is 5. Take note of 5. Sample size pa lang. And n is equals to 60. The standard deviation of the sample size, s is equals to 5, can be used to taken the place of standard. So, papalitan natin yung standard deviation or sample size as the standard deviation 5. Because the sample size is larger, n is equals to or n greater or equal to 20. Kasi meron tayong 60. So, ito yan ha. Ito yung mataas kasi naman eh. So, yun gagamitin natin po. To get the answer, first, we need to substitute mean as 65, sample size or standard deviation is 5, and the average mean is 64. And then n is equals to 60. So we will use the formula c is equals to x bar minus the mean or the expected value divided by standard deviation divided by square root. So 64 minus 65 divided by 5 square root of 60. So the answer is negative 1 divided by 0.645. And the value is z 1.55. This is for the 64. For the next problem, from the problem mean is equals to 65 and the standard deviation is 5 and the x bar is 67 and n is equals to 60, we will use the formula for the central limits again. So we will replace 67 minus 65 divided by 5 square root of 60 and then is equals to 2 divided by 0.645 and the answer is 3.10. So in our next step, we will subtract the value of 1.55 and 3.10. So solve for the exercise number 3. Using the z table, the area below is negative 1.55 is 0.0606, while the area below between z is equals to 3.10 is 0.990. So we will subtract the value of negative 1.55, which is the value of 0.990, minus the value of 3.10, 0.060, and the answer is 93.9384 or 93.84%. So how do we graph this one? We will draw the x and y axis again. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. So our mean is 65. So our standard deviation is 5. 65 plus 5, 70. 70 plus 5, 75. 75 plus 5 is 80. 65 minus 5 is 60. 60 minus 5 is 55. 55 minus 5 is 50. So negative 1.55. So we will write the negative 1.55 here. And the other one is 3.10. So this will be the 3.10. And then we will subtract. So the answer is 93.84. So we will shade this one. So this is the average value of the students, mostly in the 60 students, in the student achievement test.